Erev Tov, we're in Rabbi Yosef Kapach's introduction to the Mishneh Torah on page Qafih 25. And whereas in the past we discussed different things that Rabbi Yosef Kapach wanted us to know before we learn the Rambam. So for example, why the Rambam wrote the Mishneh Torah? Why did the Rambam intentionally only mention things that Talmud codified? Was it the custom of the world to rule halakha according to the Rambam? Did the Rambam intend to write a theoretical book or a practical work? Tonight we're going to be dealing with one of the main opponents of the Rambam, and that is the Raavad. The Raavad is an acronym that you'll see very often because even in the proper use of the word Raavad, there are many of them. In fact, the Raavad that we call the Raavad, or perhaps some call the Raavad, the Raavad is number 3, Raavad HaShalishi. And just to get confused, he is the son-in-law of the Raavad HaSheni, the second Raavad. And they are obviously related, but this acronym is very common because Raavad stands for Rabbi Avraham ben David. You can imagine how many people with that acronym there are. As well as Raavad is used in other contexts as the Rosh Av Bet Din, or Rosh Avot Batei Din, which is the supreme justice, the head of the Rabbinic court, the head of the Bet Din. And therefore, sometimes you'll meet people and they'll say, oh, the Raavad says, or you walk in Yerushalayim, for example, and you see one of these big signs on it. You're in Mea Shearim, I don't know where you are. The Raavad says, and you wonder, how could it be the Raavad said what they claim the Raavad to say? It doesn't make sense in the context. And then you realize they're not talking all about the Raavad, they're talking about their rabbi, who only they know which Raavad. They don't give him a last name, they don't give him a first name. You have no idea who they're talking about. When they say Raavad, they mean the rabbi who's sitting now in Borough Park, or Williamsburg, or Muncie, or Lakewood, or Chicago, or wherever. That's who the Raavad is. It's very confusing. There are certain words that people tell you, oh, the Rebbe said. Which Rebbe? There are a lot of Rebbes. The people tell you, the Rosh Yeshiva said. Which Rosh Yeshiva? If you're in a yeshiva and they tell you the Rosh Yeshiva said, that's fine. But you're sitting around a Shabbat, it wasn't the Rosh Yeshiva. Which Rosh Yeshiva? You're seeing people that the Rav said. Which Rav? You know how many Rabbanim there are? Who are you referring to? That's why, we have certain titles, like Rabbi Yonatan Halevy in the Mishnah. Rabbeinu HaKadosh. We say the word Rabbeinu, we know in rabbinic literature it's referring to Rabbi Yonatan Halevy. All of a sudden you see other people borrow this term Rabbeinu, and they use it without anything that explains which Rabbeinu they're talking about. And now we have a problem. And the problem is that I have no idea who you're referring to. When you have someone like Maran is known as Maran. That's the title he was given. When I say Maran, I only mean one Maran. And it gets very confusing. Sometimes I read the books of Ovadia Yosef, and he says, Maran ben Ishchai, Maran Achida, Maran this, Maran that, Maran. I don't know which Maran he's referring to. In fact, I'll tell you a story, Maaseh. Once in the olden days of the yeshiva, where I studied, before Harav Peretz, there was Rabbi Yosef, was the son of Shalom, was the son of Yosef. And once it happened that Rabbbi Yosef came to speak in the yeshiva, and Harav Peretz had to come in. I don't remember exactly the details of the story, but because already in Rabbi Yosef's lifetime, people were calling him Maran. In fact, in Israel today, when you say Maran, in modern Sephardic Haredi society, they understand Maran as Rabbi Yosef. And when you say Maran, you don't know anymore which Maran they're talking about. It went backwards. And Harav Peretz asked permission. He said, listen, please, Rabbi Yosef, go to your father and tell him that I will call him any title in the world he needs. Rishon LeZion, Ateret Roshenu, the crown of our head, the glory of our generation, the splendor of the... whatever title. But Maran, I only call Rabbi Yosef Karo Maran. If he will not feel slighted by the fact that I don't call him Maran, I'm more than happy to come and sit next to him. But if Chas v'Shalom he'll feel offended, I don't want to offend Rabbi Yosef, but I also can't call someone else Maran if they're not actually Maran. What do you think Rabbi Yosef said? Of course he agreed. And Harav Peretz came, and Hine Matov U'Manaim, everything worked out. By the way, I once gave a shiur many years ago to our Monday morning class. It's probably time to read that piece again from Harav Peretz about titles. All kinds of titles that people give each other. Once Harav Peretz came to the Beit Knesset, and when he entered the Beit Knesset, so he realized that by the Aliyah of the Torah, there's a minhag in some places. This was a Ashkenazi shtibel. And they had a minhag there, they called everybody Reb this, Ben Reb that, Ben Reb this one, the son of that rabbi, that one. They used the word rabbi like an honorary title. Once I was in Borough Park with my wife, I walked to a store. And someone said, "Hey, Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe." I said, "Wow, I got promoted now, and now I'm a Rebbe. I'm not just a rabbi. How did he know that I was a rabbi?" And my wife was laughing, because in Borough Park, when they call you Rebbe, it's like they're making fun of you. It's like, what do you want, president? You're not a president of anything. They're making fun of you. So Rabbi Peretz came to Beit HaKnesset, everybody was getting Aliyah, Rabbi this, the son of Rabbi that, Rabbi this, the son of Rabbi that. When it came his turn to get Aliyah, the Gabbai was a racist. Didn't want to call Rabbi, was Sephardic, didn't want to call him Rabbi. He said, Ya'amod, I'm going to say, Yaakov ben Yosef. And Rabbi Peretz was full of tzar. He said, listen, I don't care, you call me a rabbi, no rabbi, it doesn't make a difference to me. But every Am Haaretz in the Beit HaKnesset was called rabbi. Every Gidon Rambam there's a rabbi. It happens to be that because of who I am, because I'm not like you couldn't call me rabbi. This is Resha. The evil exists in the world. There's another kind of Resha. I opened up a book recently. Some Rosh Yeshiva. I don't want to mention names. You probably wouldn't know him if I mentioned his name. And they have before his name an acronym. Rash Kabahag. Rash Kabahag. Rabban Shel Kol Bnei Hagolah. The rabbi of all the Jews in the world. Literally of all the Jews in exile. I'm thinking to myself, he's the rabbi of all the Jews in the world. But perhaps 99.9% out of the 200 people in his yeshiva don't even know who he is. How could you call somebody Rash Kabahag? He wasn't even a rabbi of his own community, let alone a rabbi of the whole world. People are exaggerating these things. This had nothing to do with what Rabbi Kapach wanted to tell us. It had to do with titles. Once, a Rav Kook, Rav Shalom, was sitting Shiva for his mother. And someone came and had a conversation. He said, you know what he was mitzvah? You know what made him suffer the most? He said, of all the titles he was called in his lifetime, the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv Yafo, the chief rabbi of Israel, everything was fine and special, but there was only one title he's never going to hear again. The title that his mother would call him Bini, my son. He said, that title, there's no one in the world who can give me that title. And he felt like when he had lost his mother, he had lost the only real title he actually cherished. The title of my son. To have parents. Those of us who have parents, they should live and be well. Muva b'shem Haramah mipano. It's brought down in the name of Rabbi Menachem Azariah. We say for some reason the Beit Midrash mipano, but really it's a place, the Fano, in Italy, in France. In Italy. Raavad is from France. In Siman Kufchet, in page 108, if I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Aryeh de Modena, who wrote the famous book Ari Nohem, infamous, I guess, for those who are on the other side of the argument, I believe he's somehow connected to the Ramah Mipano. I don't remember how. Shekadav, he writes the following: Chas v'shalom lehalot al hadat. God forbid that it should even enter your mind. Ki hakadosh Raavad, the Raavad, the holy Raavad, kiven chalila lema'ed b'chvod Rambam, that he had some intention to diminish from the honor of the Rambam. Ach chasaf zora kodsho lachalok al Rambam. Rather, he stretched out his holy arm to argue with the Rambam b'chama gufei halachot, in a number of halachic places. Delo lisrichu kuli alma avatre lilmod ulamed bedeot ma'al sefer moreh nevuchim v'chayotze. Why did he argue with the Rambam? Fascinating reason. And those who read the articles that I've suggested until today will understand. The reason why the Raavad argued with the Rambam is because he wanted to make sure that people wouldn't become followers of the Rambam, and chaz v'shalom, follow him, lisrichu, to become spoiled, to become rotten, to be led astray by the Rambam to his book, the Moreh Nevuchim. So the reason why Raavad argues with the Rambam is to save people from following the Rambam to the Moreh Nevuchim. פוק חזה מה שכתב הראב"ד בעצמו בפרק ו' דקלאים דמלאכה גדולה עשה לאסוף ולכנוס בכווניו כל אלה. He says, look what the Raavad himself writes in the laws of forbidden mixtures, where he says, look, this undertaking of the Rambam was tremendous. So from here it says the Ramah Mipano, you see that really the Raavad respected the Rambam tremendously. He just wanted to critique him so people wouldn't follow him blindly and ultimately, God forbid, sarcastically, God forbid, end up in the realm of the Moreh Nevuchim. Ayin Sham, look there. Says Rabbi Yosef Kapach, Ve'ele devarim halalu leda'ati shum yisod. These words, in my opinion, have no foundation. There's no basis for this claim. Ki ha'Raavad lo ra'at sifro hakadosh shel Rabbeinu Hagadol hu sefer Moreh Nevuchim. The Rabbeinu Raavad didn't even see the book, the holy book he calls it, of the Moreh Nevuchim. Ki Sefer Moreh HaNevuchim nichtav b'sava Aravit. Because the book, Moreh Nevuchim, was written in Arabic. The Raavad, and the Raavad was from France, lo yada Aravit, didn't know Arabic. V'tirgumo l'ivrit, and maybe he read in Hebrew, was translated. The translation in Hebrew happened in which year? Al yidei Rabbi Shmuel ibn Tibon, by Rabbi Shmuel ibn Tibon, nistayem b'shnat. It was finished in the year, translated for us, 1204. So Rabbi Shmuel ibn Tibon translated the Moreh Nevuchim into Hebrew in 1204. The Raavad niftar b'shnat, and the Raavad died in the years 1198. כלומר, 5 שנים לפני שהסתיים תרגום המורה ללשון הקודש. The Raavad died 5 years before the Moreh Nevuchim was even translated into Hebrew. So there was no way, aside from the fact that it had no foundation, here's a proof against it. The Raavad didn't know about the Moreh Nevuchim in order to be worried that people should follow it. In the Raavad's lifetime, Moreh Nevuchim was only written in Arabic, and he had no access to Arabic as he was a French rabbi. Vayen, if you go look here, you should know here from many of these books that we're going to quote now, there are a number of names, and I'm guessing which one of their books, like Shevet Yehuda. There are a number of Shevet Yehuda in histories. I'm assuming that the Shevet Yehuda that I'm referring to is the Shevet Yehuda that Rabbi Yosef Kapach is referring to. Vayen, Shevet Yehuda of Rabbi Shlomo ben Verga, who was in Spain. הובא במבואו המאלף של הרב פרופסור שמואל אטלס זיכרונו לברכה. You'll find that there's an introduction there from Professor Shmuel Atlas of blessed memory, the Pirush Bava Kama shel Raavad, and the commentary Bava Kama of the Raavad. So the Raavad also wrote commentaries on the Talmud. He says there are wondrous words, ma'alef, like magnificent, breathtaking words that were written by Professor Shmuel Atlas. If you run a cursory search on Professor Shmuel Atlas, you'll find he was born in Lithuania, I believe right before the turn of 1899. He studied in Lithuania, in Russia, in a number of different places. Ended up in America at the Hebrew Union College, like many of the rabbis who came from Europe and came here, and ended up in different institutions than you might expect them to. I don't know anything about him. I don't know to recommend, not recommend. Simply, I know that he was a friend of Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg, the Siri De'esh. You'll find letters, correspondences between the two of them. And it's enough of a wondrous introduction that Rabbi Yosef Kapach writes amazing things about it. And it is correct, though, that Rabbeinu HaRambam saw the critiques of the Raavad in his book. But the Rambam, in his lifetime, never directly dealt with the Raavad's critiques on his work. As was the Rambam's custom, that was his way. Like the famous letter that you find from Rambam to Rabbi Yosef ben Yehuda. I once translated parts of it to English, and I am thinking that depending on what we do this week, it's possible that it's important for us to read this letter ourselves. It's mentioned in the letters of the Rambam in Rav Kapach's edition. There are many different editions of the Rambam's letters, a number of them, and there unfortunately are many letters that are attributed to the Rambam that are forgeries, and different Chachamim argue which of those letters are forgeries, which of them are not, which are accurate, which have maybe problems with them, maybe the translations were off, some of them were missing the Arabic original, we only have the Hebrew translation, we have to guess what the Rambam actually intended. Rabbi Yosef Kapach published only a few letters of the Rambam that he was certain came from the Rambam himself, and all the other letters the Rabbi Yosef Kapach strayed from, was wary of translating them or even compiling them into a book because they most likely were not from the Rambam in his estimation. ואשר לי נראה, it appears to me, כי מטרת הראב"ד בהשגותיו אינה לחלוק על הרמב"ם. The intention of the Raavad in his critiques is not to argue with the Rambam. אלא להביע דעתו בדין זה או אחר. It's not even to show the Raavad's personal opinion on any matter. This is a groundbreaking understanding of the Raavad. Until today, most people would understand the Raavad, especially when he writes very sharp things about the Rambam. We understand him as being critical, as saying some pretty terrible things about the Rambam. He says not only is he not arguing with the Rambam, he doesn't even intend to bring his own opinion into the question, into the conversation. The whole intention of the Raavad's critique is to show the readers of the Rambam's books, miyad uv'makom, immediately in that place, sheyesh od de'ah choleket al ha'amur b'sefer, that there is another opinion that argues with the Rambam's. Shelo yachashov, you should not think ki ha'devarim ha'sidurim lefanav hem muskamim l'divrei hakol. The things that are written in front of the Rambam, like they're clear, like that's the law, that everyone agrees. Meaning, the Raavad is telling you, hey, stop, wait. The Rambam makes it seem this is simple. It's not so simple. There are others who differ. And the Raavad is not even there to tell you, does he hold like the Rambam? Does he not? It doesn't make a difference. The Raavad is not writing a work of halakha. He's trying to say, hey, don't read the Rambam blindly. Read the Rambam with the critiques of the Raavad. Make sure that you know in which place the Rambam is saying that something is a clear halakha, and maybe it's not so clear. What throws people off? What throws people off is that the way of the Raavad is to speak very harshly. I remember we mentioned a few shiurim ago, we read from the introduction of the Raavad, and the thing he said about the Rambam, who does this man think he is, that he's better than everybody else? So, but if you examine closely the things that he writes against the Rambam, even the things that sound personal or offensive, me'upakim hem, they're so light, they're so diminished. Me'od legabei charifuto kalpei acherim. If you put them in context of the things he wrote about other rabbis, he wrote nothing bad about the Rambam. The things he said about the Rambam were perfectly fine. Chiron haraza ve'od. There was a Bala Ma'or, Ben Mishneh Halevy. He wrote a book arguing with the Rif. And the Raavad, who I believe may even have been in some kind of acquaintance with the Bala Ma'or, I don't know. What he writes about the Raza, the things he writes about him, protecting the Rif from the Bala Ma'or. Hashem Mishmor, what you read over there. So if you put it in the context of what the Raavad wrote about other rabbis, he really loves the Rambam. But why did he write in such an inflammatory fashion? Ki ashir me'od haya ha'ish. The man was very wealthy, says Rabbi Kapach. V'gadol me'od b'Torah, and he was very great in Torah knowledge. U'me'ot talmidim ma'aritzim sivavuhu, and he had hundreds of students that admired him, adored him, that surrounded him. V'chol ele gormim chashuvim la'akarat erech atzmo. And these cause for a very healthy self-esteem inside of a person. A person has a lot of money, they know a lot of Torah, they have a lot of admirers. That is a recipe for a lot of self-respect, self-dignity. And look in the Raavad's letters. Who printed the Raavad's letters? Rabbi Kapach. If I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Kapach even printed books from the Raavad before he printed books from the Rambam. That I don't remember though. Rabbi Kapach goes to print the opponent of the Rambam's letters because Rabbi Kapach really believes that the Raavad was not an opponent of the Rambam. He was doing a service to the learner, the reader of the Rambam, to know when the Raavad, in the Beit Midrash, not everyone accepts that this is the way the Raavad was writing, but Rabbi Kapach's opinion definitely brings a lot of peace to the world. Talmidei Chachamim, Torah scholars, Marbim Shalom Ba'olam, increase peace in the world. This is a classic example of that. If you look at Rabbi Kapach's edition of Raavad's letters in section 20, B'din mesuyam shutzrach legalot ta'amav v'nimukav, over there the Raavad discusses a halakha. And in that halakha he's forced to disclose the reason for a halakha. So he gave a ruling and now he had to share what the reason was. Katav, he writes the following words. Listen to the way the Raavad speaks. V'hareini megale sodotav u'matzpunav. I am going to reveal my secret, the reason behind this ruling. Liot lemofet lebeim acharai, to be a proof for those who come after me. Especially if they're going to be those people who are going to accept my words without any research and without any analysis of their own. Because my years are greater than theirs, meaning I'm older than them. And my wisdom is greater than theirs also. Meaning there are people who will accept my words because I'm older than them and I'm wiser than them. Oftentimes people have a hard time. In Judaism, especially of today, there's a certain understanding of midot, certain character traits. I was studying with my wife on Shabbat, Pirkei Avot of the Rambam. So Pirkei Avot is every bit to see, but the commentary of the Rambam, Pirkei Avot. And when the Rambam discusses the obligation to judge people favorably, or the lack thereof. And we hear always, judge everyone favorably, judge everyone favorably, judge everyone favorably. There are times, though, where according to halakha, you have no obligation to judge someone favorably. There are times where according to halakha, it's crazy to judge someone favorably, but you have to. We're always taught that you must do everything you can to justify a person to judge them favorably. And it seems unrealistic. It seems the Torah wants you to live in some stupid world. But if you truly understand the writings of the Chachamim, you'll realize that no, you don't have an obligation to judge everyone favorably. There are limits. Before you go to bed tonight, people are going to say a blessing on the Shema. And before then, I know they say all kinds of tefillot. I forgive all the people who hurt me. And once they don't want to say this prayer. Why? And there are people that I don't forgive. Why? They hurt me very much. The business partner who stole from me, the person who hurt me, abused me. You think that you have to forgive everybody in your life? You have an obligation to forgive everyone. Do you have an obligation to forgive somebody who hurt you and never asked you for mechila? Maybe for you it's good. But on a halachic level, do you have an obligation to forgive them? We have Western concepts in our head. The Torah's concept of humility, anava, kefisha kibalti merabotai, the way I received it from my rabbis, is not that it's, and someone compliments you, you're such a good speaker, you're such a good artist, you're such a good painter, you're such a good musician, whatever it is you are. And you say, no, what do you say in the West? No, it's not, nothing, it's not a big deal, nothing at all, I'm not so special. You deny it. Why do you deny it? Because you don't want to come off looking like you're an arrogant person. The one hama'amin b'Hashem, the person who believes in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who made you the great artist? Who made you the great speaker? Who made you the great musician? The creator of the universe made you that person. So now someone says, wow, I'm recognizing the God-given talents inside of you. And what do you tell them? Nah, Hashem didn't give me anything. You are a kfui tova. You are one who has no gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rather, what should you answer? According to Judaism, not according to the street. You should say, thank you very much. I am a wonderful artist. Thank you, Hashem. It's all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yeah, I am a beautiful musician. Thank you. But it's all because of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Don't take credit for it. It's not yours. Give gratitude to the one who gave the gift to you. That's anava. Sometimes you see people, they write things, wow, how can he say he's wise? In the West, you can't say you're wise. But in Am Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu writes in the Torah that Moshe is anav mikol adam. Moshe is more humble. Okay, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to write it. What a humble person. He just, Hashem, I don't want to write it. And he was so humble that he was able to write that he really truly was the most humble person on earth. Moshe Rabbeinu was also a truthful person. They tell a story. I don't want to mention names. I'm not even sure the story is true. But the idea behind the story is true. There's a certain Talmid Chacham that was asked to take a stand as a witness, a character witness for a person here in the United States. And when he got on the witness stand, they asked him, so who are you that we should be listening to your opinion? And he said, me? I'm the greatest rabbi in the generation. And the students were, come on, he's the greatest rabbi in the generation? What kind of person said such a thing? And afterwards they came to tell him, he said, listen, I went on the stage. I went on the stand. I took an oath to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. I never walk around my whole life, I'm the greatest rabbi in the generation, look at me, look how great I am. But when I took an oath to tell the truth, what do you want me to lie? You have to have what does the Mishnah and Pirkei Avot say? One of the ways to acquire Torah, hamakir et mekomo, to know your place. To know your place means When you're sitting in front of a medical professional, don't talk about medicine if you don't know anything about it. When you're sitting in front of a Talmid Chacham and you know nothing about Torah, don't tell them how to think about the Torah. But the other way is true also. When you're a lawyer and you see someone's getting hurt and you know the law could protect them, you have an obligation, yes, to speak. I am the lawyer in the room. When you're on an airplane and someone is having a heart attack, are there any doctors in the room? Don't be humble and say, nah, I'm not really a doctor. Now is the time you have to stand. I am a doctor. Of course I'm a doctor. The Raavad is writing truth, at least in the reality in which the Raavad lives. For his Talmidim, he's older than them and he's wiser than them. It shouldn't throw you off when you see Chachamim speak like this. It will, but it shouldn't. Al ken yesh to'elet bevi'ur hatam lilmod mimenu la'acherim. He says, the Raavad, I'm going to write the reason for this halakha, because there really is a reason. There's a purpose that other people will be able to understand the logic behind it. I also want to save them from the lashing tongues that will critique them. This is a quote from Yeshayahu, we mentioned it before. They're going to tell a father, who have you been given birth to a woman, who are you carrying? There are some people that are only wise in their own eyes, and they're so great, they're so smart for anybody else. I've decided to reveal the secret of this halakha, and to tell you the reason, the basis of this halakha. Ayin Sham, look there. And the same intent of the Raavad, כלומר, להראות שאין דעת רבנו ושיטתו היא הדעה היחידה, to show that the opinion of Rabbeinu HaRambam is not the only opinion. אלא יש עוד דעות וסברות אחרות ושונות. There are other opinions. There are other logical ways to examine this halakha, and therefore you need to know them. היא מטרה ומגמת הגות הממוניות. Says the Rabbi Yosef Kapach, you think I'm stopping with the Raavad? Rabbi Moshe HaKohen, Rabbi Meir HaKohen of Rothenburg, the famous Hagot Mamid, the Maharam of Rothenburg. We mentioned him the other day. Where did we mention him? We also spoke about his Hasagot. We mentioned him on page Chaf Aleph. Rabbi Meir HaKohen from Rothenburg, he was a rabbi, a French-German rabbi. When he critiques the Rambam, also for the same reason, not because he's giving you a halachic opinion, אלא שדבריהם נאמרו בעידון ובעדינות בשפה שונה וברוח אחרת. The only difference between the Maharam of Rothenburg and the Raavad is that his words were said gently, much more pleasantly. They were said with a little more grace. Lo k'mesig, not like a critic, אלא כמגיד. Just someone who's sharing information. But he has the same intention as the Raavad. The intention is to show the reader of the Rambam, slow down, the Rambam is not giving the only halachic opinion available. There are other opinions you need to know about. What you do with that information is up to you. But you must know what to do with the Rambam's teachings and the Raavad's critiques. Do I have time to do one more paragraph? How many minutes am I in the recording? 28. Okay, we'll do a little bit longer today. Because this is true, נראה לי, it appears to me, שלא הביע הראב"ד בהשגותיו לא את דעתו ולא את שיטתו להלכה למעשה כלל וכלל. The Raavad did not intend at all to write his halachic opinion, at all. ומה שחלוקים הפוסקים, and that which the poskim debate, im kol makom shlo yisig Raavad al Rabbeinu nechshav k'maskim imo. It's every place where the Raavad omitted. He didn't say anything. He was silent. Does that mean that the Raavad agrees with the Rambam? Ucheneged Shaar cholkim nechshav da'at Rabbeinu k'shtei deot. And therefore, whenever the Raavad is silent and the Rambam says something, it means two great rabbis agreed to it. The Rambam and the silent critic who's back there, who's not saying anything, the Raavad, because clearly he agrees. Olav, or maybe not. Can we learn anything from the silence of the Raavad? This is very important. First, in the Gemara, you have miklalav et hashomeahen. From one way, you can infer the opposite. When you're reading I'm borrowing the term. when you read a critique of someone, you're reading the Rama's notes on Maran, the Shulchan Aruch. Whenever the Rama doesn't argue, it's accepted by the poskim. That means because he agrees with Maran. And therefore, in a halakha where Maran says X and the Rama does not argue, then you can say the Maran and the Rama say X, Y, and Z. Why? Because he didn't argue, and therefore they agree. Can you do the same thing with the Raavad? This is important in many areas of halakha. Recently I was looking up a question in Hilchot Taharat HaMishpacha. We had a complicated question that came up in the Beit HaMidrash. And the famous question of the Rif, Harei the Rif didn't give us a complete work on these laws. And therefore, when there are some people who say, well, he omitted a halakha. His omission of a halakha does not necessarily mean that he didn't believe in that halakha, rather he didn't write a book on that topic. And therefore, his omission means nothing. Others say, no, he omitted a halakha, and therefore he agrees with what everyone else is saying. This is an important point. Says Rabbi Kapach, look, Sdei Chemed is an important work. I don't own a set. Halavai on me one day I will own a set. Rabbi Chizkiah Medini, it's a Jewish encyclopedia. It appears to me, it appears to me that you should never consider the Raavad as agreeing when he's silent. And the same holds true that wherever the Raavad argues, don't think he's actually arguing. Meaning, don't understand yes from his silence and don't understand no from his voice. Rather, all he's trying to do is to show the reader there is another reality, there is another opinion. בדברי הראב"ד כדעתו וכהכרעתו הוא אלא מה שכתב בתשובותיו שאין הלכה למעשה ובחידושיו לש"ס. The only place you can find the Raavad's opinion, what does he actually believe the halakha is? In his book of halakha, in his letters, and in his commentary on the Talmud. לא במה שכתב כהשגה לא נגד רבנו ולא נגד הרזה ואחרים. Not when he critiques Rabbeinu Rambam. Not when he critiques Rabbeinu Yonatan Halevy. Not when he critiques someone else. The Raavad in his critique is always playing devil's advocate. That sounds crazy? Could it really be? I already wrote in my introduction to the Raavad's questions and answers על כמה דברים שדעת הראב"ד שיטתו וסברתו בתשובותיו שלא כדעת הרמב"ם. There are many things that the Raavad held the halakha. That was his opinion on halakha in his books. ואף על פי כן לא השיגו. But if you look in the Mishneh Torah, he doesn't argue with the Rambam. Because the Raavad is not coming to show personal opinion in his critique of the Rambam. ועיין גם בבואו המאלף של הרב שמואל אטלס. Go look again at the introduction that we mentioned before from Rabbi Shmuel Atlas. לפירוש הראב"ד המסכת בבא קמא עמוד 1. What he writes there in his introduction to מסכת בבא קמא. שם, over there, העיר על כמה וכמה דברים שדעת הראב"ד בהשגותיו נגד דעתו בפירושו, אלא שהוא תלה את הדבר בחזרותיו של הראב"ד שחזר מדעתו בהשגות. He said he shows there are many contradictions between what the Raavad holds the halakha in his books and what he critiques the Rambam on. And rather his solution, Rabbi Atlas's solution was that where the Raavad changes his mind, it's because he really took back his previous opinion. So what he writes now is his current opinion, and what he wrote previously is not his real opinion. Meaning he took it back. That's why he changed opinion. We have some works like that. And unlike Rabbi Kapach, who says that from his silence you can't infer anything because he didn't critique, because it wasn't another opinion that argued. But it appears to me that's not the truth. Because if that was true, that the Raavad took back his opinion, he would erase the things that he argued with the Rambam about. He said maybe he couldn't edit the books that he already published, but in the next printing, in the next edition, he would have found two different versions of the Raavad. The version of the Raavad, the handwritten manuscript with eraser marks, or the handwritten manuscript where he crossed something out. We never found such manuscripts. Therefore, it appears to be ברור clearly, כפי שאמרתי שבהשגות הוא מתכוון לומר את דעתו, that in the Raavad's critiques he does not intend to share his personal opinion. ועיין גם להרב אבני שוהם, and look at the writings of the Avnei Shoham, Rabbi Avraham ben Yaakov Peretz, who writes the Raavad בהשגתו בהלכות חמץ, ומה שאתה בהלכות אישות, הוא פרק ב' הלכת ט"ו, שהוא זיל הכה משיג וזיל הכה משיג. That the Raavad, in this way, he looks at the same topic, and in this area, he was looking at it from this angle, and he critiqued. And over there, he looked at it from a different angle, and he critiqued. but it's not consistent. The Raavad was simply playing devil's advocate. He was playing on the other side. He was always opposing, just to show you that if I'm standing from this angle, there's a question. And if I'm standing from that angle, it's a different question. And you can't draw a line between what the Raavad writes and all of his critiques throughout the Rambam. In the laws of Shofar, Halacha Gimel, Shofar Gazul, Uvesukah, Nendulav Gazul, Dasegotav Sitrai. If you look regarding a stolen Shofar and a stolen Sukkah, that his critiques, they contradict each other. But it doesn't make a difference, because he's not trying to be consistent. Look at the writings of Rabbi Yitzchak ben Moshe Nunez Benemonte. That was his last name. He writes in the laws of Yom Tov, that when he critiques the Baal HaMeor, Rabbi Yonatan Halevy, it seems like he holds like the Rambam and the Rif. But over here in the writings of the Rambam, Misik al Rabbeinu, he's arguing with the Rambam. So how can on the same topic he take the Rambam stance over there, but now when it comes to the Rambam, he takes the opposite stance? The only answer is the way Rabbi Kapach answered. That in each book, he's trying to show the reader there are other opinions here. Look at Rabbi Yaakov al-Beli. That he argues based on what the Rambam wrote in the laws of Brachot, what the Rosh quotes in the name of the Raavad. Look over there. And look in the Tur and see how he quotes it. Basically based on all of the above, that whenever you see a writing of the Raavad critiquing someone, don't consider the halakha at all. And never consider his silence to the Rambam or his silence to Rabbeinu Halevy to be in agreement. And don't look at whenever he argues that he's arguing. He's only giving a note. Lev HaMa'ayen, to wake up the heart of the one who's reading, that there is another opinion, there exists another opinion. And he can therefore go and do his own research and figure out who the halakha is like. And maybe, again, Rabbi Yosef Kapach is being a little sarcastic, maybe he's that one special person in the generation that Maran, the case of Mishneh, mentioned, who's able to study the halachot on his own and reach different conclusions than Rambam. But don't think, says Rabbi Yosef Kapach, that this is some new invention of the Raavad, that he is the only rabbi who ever writes critiques just to show you other opinions. This is an old road. Many people have gone down this road. And the great rabbis of the Jewish people, they conquered this path already. This seems to be a reference to a Gemara. The Gemara says about Rabbi Yochanan, I believe Rabbi Yochanan, that he said he learned from a young girl, he learned from her that one shouldn't steal. He said he was once walking in a field, and this girl asked him, "Rabbi, are you not walking in private property?" He says, "Yeah, it's private property." So why are you walking in it? It's someone's field. So what? I'm walking in it. Look, so many people walk here, it's already become a public road. There's nothing growing here. I'm not breaking anybody's plants. Derech kifshuha. So what should I answer him? Rabbi, listim shekemotcha kifshuha. Robbers like you are the ones who made this into a public road. Meaning just because everyone else is doing it doesn't make it an excuse. So what if everyone's doing it? You're part of those people that turn one man's private property into public property because of your disregard for his personal property. Once when I was in Baltimore, there's a lot of grass. Oh Hashem, on the East Coast, they have a lot of water. They don't pay money for sprinklers for the grass. There's this huge field of grass, and there was a trail, like a cement sidewalk you can walk on. Somebody walked in the grass. And there was an old Talmid Chacham who was visiting the yeshiva. I won't mention his name. And he looked at some of these yeshivas. I remember him screaming. He said, "Is this the way Talmid Chacham walks? There's a road, and he chooses to walk in the grass. Walk in the road." And I'm sure there are many messages you could take out of there. The first being, why ruin the grass? Why ruin the flowers? People that have worked hard for their garden. You walk to someone's house. You walk through their front yard. You ruin the plants they planted. There's a path for a reason. It's too many steps out of your way. A little bit of human decency wouldn't hurt a person. To read and think about it, well, now you should start thinking about it. Chachamim say that a person's money should be chaviv alecha kishelcha. Someone else's property should be as important to you as your own. I once told this to somebody. He said, Rabbi, I don't even care about my own property. Okay, so that's a bad midah. It's a bad midah. Because you don't care about your own property, you don't care about other people's property either. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing that you don't care about your own property either. Remember the great forefather who goes back for the little things he left behind. Pachim ktanim. Little jugs. Because it's important. Somebody once said, I take this musar for myself also. Somebody said, all of that junk in your house used to once be money. All of those things you throw to the trash, the toys that are broken, the things you bought at Costco once, all of those things you ordered on Amazon, you bought the wrong piece in Home Depot, you never returned, all of those things that you have in your house, they used to be dollar bills. And now you're throwing them to the trash. To care a little bit about your own property is a good midah. But to care about other people's property, let's say you don't care about your own, at the very least care about theirs. There are people who are afraid to lend people things. I once lent somebody a book. I got back the book. I lent them a hardcover. I got it back a soft cover book. And I even was able, I needed to do binding again on the book. You lend somebody chairs or tables for a wedding, for a sheva brachot, for a bar mitzvah, whatever you lend it for. And you get back half your chairs and the table is broken. What did you do? So you already had your wedding, so you don't need to care. The next simcha is going to be 20 years. But you ruined it for everybody else. The next person who's doing an event, a brit milah. The next person who needs to borrow those chairs, the host will say, I'm sorry, I don't want to lend my things out. When I lend my things out, they get broken. Ugdolei chachamei Yisrael kivshuha. There's another message you can learn from that story about the grass. כלומר, להתווכח בדבר או על דבר, לא לשם מחלוקת. This whole methodology of arguing not for the sake of proving someone wrong. ולא משום שדעת המתווכח חולקת על שכנגדו. And not even because you disagree with what's being written. אלא כדי לרדת לעומק הדברים ולהגיע למיצוי הדין בנושא. Rather, you're trying to share the other side of the story, so you can actually reach the proper conclusion. ועיין פירוש רבנו למשנה מקוואות. If you look in the commentary of רבנו הרמב"ם, אמר רבי עקיבא, היה רבי ישמעאל דן כנגדי. רבי ישמעאל was arguing halakha with me. שם כתב רבנו פירושו, there, רבנו הרמב"ם writes in his commentary, ולא היה מתווכח עם רבי עקיבא, אלא על דרך המשא ומתן. לא מפני שהוא סובר כך. He was arguing with Rabbi Akiva, not because he disagreed with Rabbi Akiva, but because he wanted to argue. He wanted that back and forth to clarify the matter. Look at my printing over there, Rabbi Kapach, because in the printed edition, there was a mistake. Look in Masechet Eruvin. It's revealed in front of he who created the world. There's no one in Rabbi Meir's generation who is like him. And for what reason did they not rule halakha like Rabbi Meir? Because his friends, his chavrutot, they were unable to לרדת לסוף דעתו, to truly understand his opinion. שהוא אומר על טמא טהור, הוא מראה לו פנים. Because Rabbi Meir would show something that was impure, and he would say, no, it's pure. And he would prove, הוא מראה לו פנים, he would prove to you that it's okay. על טהור טמא, he would show you that something which is טהור, pure, he would tell you it's impure, הוא מראה לו פנים. And he would prove to you that it's that way. Chachamim say, kan derachim l'taher et hasheret. There are 150 ways to convince a person in halakha that an insect is kasher. A Talmid Chacham can give you 50 logical reasons for why something is permitted, and for the same exact thing, give you 50 logical reasons why it's prohibited. Ultimately, you have to come to the truth. The truth requires more than just being able to argue your point. You see this a lot today in conversation. You know how rare it is for me to have a good conversation with someone. Here in my Kehillat, Baruch Hashem, we have beautiful conversations. But sometimes a person will come from outside, or we'll go somewhere for Shabbat, or we'll visit a different country, whatever it is, and you sit with the person and they have a conversation. It doesn't have to be about Torah. You want to be about politics, you want to be about life, you want to be about marriage, about kids, or whatever it is. And there's fun in having a healthy debate. But this person doesn't know how to debate. This person gets angry and they get worked up and they curse at you about personally. I mean, what happened? What happened? All I'm trying to do is to get you to think differently than the way you were thinking until now. If you can't prove my point, then you don't truly understand your point. If you can't argue for the other side, you don't know what they're actually saying. Maybe I'll say better. Not if you can't argue for the other side. If you can't convincingly argue for the other side. I'm ruling like Maran and Halacha. If I can't convincingly prove the Ramah is correct, I have no right to rule like Maran. You don't know why the Ramah said what he said. How can you rule like the Ramah? You have to understand the opposite side of the story. Talmidei Chachamim have been doing this forever. This was the way of the sharp Chachamim of the Jewish people. We drink their waters. And this was the path on which the Raavad tread, according to my opinion, says Rabbi Kapach. Especially when it has to do with Rambam. And he didn't intend at all to come and establish halakha. I think this is very important, what we said tonight. And I know the shiur was longer than what I intended to be. There is value to conversation in the Beit Midrash. People sometimes come to a shiur. Today I had a question. Someone asked me a halakha question. And I started explaining to them. The Torah says like this. The Rishonim, there's a Rambam, there's Shulchan Aruch. The Gemara, there's two different ways to read it. And therefore the poskim discuss differently. And you see the person glazed over. They're used to calling a rabbi. They want to ask a question. Tell me what to do. That's what I'm going to ask. Don't explain this to me. Don't help me understand it. Tell me what to do. Tell you what to do. What's the purpose of telling you what to do? If you want to be a robot, I could just give you I guess that's what some books are written for. Do this, don't do that, don't do... What about understanding what you're doing? What about the goal to truly comprehend the actions that you take? See that for some people it's not important. For some people it's not relevant. For some people they go on with this a certain cognitive dissonance in their life. They do something, they believe something else. Their whole life is chaos. Tohu vavohu. Someone asked a question in the Pesach forum, if you remember on our Q&A. And they asked the purpose of having a rabbi. Which rabbi should I follow? Following a rabbi. And I mentioned there, the Mishnah says, Aseh lecha rav, make for yourself a rabbi. The Rambam there in the commentary writes, we make for yourself a rabbi. We don't follow people. What's about following a rabbi? Rather, what does it mean, make for yourself a rabbi? When you have a matter of halakha, you want to know, go and have someone to discuss halakha with. You don't know what to do? Go discuss it with someone, even if you know what to do. Even a great Talmid Chacham. The Rambam says you should find someone who's not as great as him, but at least you should have somebody to discuss with before you make a decision, an important decision. Talk it out with somebody. Think it through with somebody. Sometimes the person who's sitting opposite from you doesn't have to be a tremendous Talmid Chacham, but they see things from an objective angle. They see things that you can't see because you're blind to it. It's not embarrassing to reach out to someone. It's not embarrassing to think through your actions. And Chachamei Israel for generations have pushed us, before you do things, think about them. Use your mind. Use your brain. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you a gift. What differentiates between you and a monkey is the intellect that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you. The ability to think before you eat the banana. The ability to make a beracha before you eat a banana. The ability to have a conversation like we've had here before. Which beracha do you make on a banana in the first place? Why do some people make a hadama on banana? Why? It grows on a tree. Why? You believe the stories they told you in elementary school? It's a heavy fruit. It touches the ground. Yeah. You believe these stories still? The way you ate your food when you were 2 years old shouldn't be the way you eat your food when you're 25 years old, when you're 35, and when you're 45, when you're 105. You have to rethink, you re-examine issues. to learn, to push yourself. The purpose of the Raavad is like a great educator. Whenever you're reading and he feels you're getting too comfortable, you're just following. The Raavad taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, don't turn off your brain. Don't turn off your intellect. Don't stop thinking. Don't stop questioning. Don't stop challenging. And even if you ultimately will follow the Rambam, it will be not because the Rambam said so, but because you had the opportunity to go and look into these things for yourself, to make an analysis, your own analysis, and reach the same conclusion. Perfect. But this time you've made an educated choice. This is the beauty of the Torah. Not to decide things for people, but to educate people so that they can make the correct decisions on their own. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll continue tomorrow. I believe that the tomorrow's shiur, with your permission, now that I'm speaking about all this, this reminds me a lot, it's a tangent, obviously, of how Ovadia Yosef, alav shalom. And no, I'm not from his Beit HaMikdash, but the fights that he had within the Sephardic community to try to share an opinion that was different than what they were used to hearing, and his personal struggles, and the rabbis that went out against him, and the rabbis that he then persecuted afterwards, and the apologies and the lack of apologies and the conversations. I feel like tomorrow I'm going to post a few PDFs to our Google Classroom, and tomorrow, instead of a Rambam shiur, we're going to continue this thought of thinking critically within the spirit of the Rambam through the writings of Rabbi Yosef.